He had one sort of poor match really against Scolari, had a very tough match against the Dutchman Schluter, in which both players are playing well. But he's been playing some good tennis, and he's carrying it on into the final. Never easy to do that either.
So 1-love is the score, and we can now join our commentary team in Lyon, Frew McMillan, and alongside him it's Barry Millns.
Well, some fortune there for the 8th seed. Just made it over.
Well, brilliantly guided, wasn't it? And in fact, the two-hander by Clément wasn't hit quite as hard as he normally does. You can see he's just trying to stroke it here, trying to keep his rhythm, and perhaps suffering as a result. You can't blame him for trying to keep his rhythm, mind you.
Using the court very well indeed, Rafter. Had to work Clément to the far corner, but he did have a chance there to get past him.
Yes, Clément's very, very quick and was very close to making it.
So break back point straight away for the Australian. Smart play and back on level terms. Didn't want Clément to race away with this first set if he could help it. And using the court again very cleverly.
Yes, we saw that play against Agassi at Wimbledon. We saw it against Curtin. We saw some of it here against Arazi as well. And such a clever, just blocked return, bringing Clément in against his will. Not a particularly good serving game by Clément. He has been serving pretty well for a small man.
Effortless.
Well, he's really hurting Rafter with this. Rafter trying to get the usual kick out, and I think if he's going to serve to the backhand, he may well have to serve into the Clément body just a little bit more. Pretty warm in here, and Clément sometimes has the habit, because of his glasses, etc., of holding the server up, and you've actually got to be aware of that. Perhaps even just take a little bit more time yourself rather than be held up.
Perhaps a good idea, but the execution letting him down.
It's like one of those dreams I have when I'm about to run out somebody at cricket and I pick up the ball and suddenly instead of a light cricket ball it's a lead weight. And I try and throw it and it drops at my feet.
And again, a very clever return. Hardly any backswing, just blocked the ball back past. Well, amazing. Break points in all of the first 3 games. And again, very hard hitting on the returns. Wins him the second opportunity. And Clément breaks once more. 3 breaks in succession. Welcome back live to Lyon. 2-1 up in the first set. Arnaud Clément of France, the unseeded Frenchman, against the number 8 seed, Pat Rafter of Australia. This final getting underway a little early. Clip the line.
Well, it was certainly more out than in. My instinct would have been out, but I think Clément's suggesting that it was in. Racket head down. Not a good drop shot by Clément. Trying to learn from Rafter.
Steve Ulrich, the umpire, calling it good for Rafter. That missed though, and once again the server in trouble.
Clément was looking to come in quite a bit against Agassi. I'm surprised he's not going to the net quite as much himself. It's interesting how he runs around his backhand to play a lot of forehands, and yet it's actually his backhand that's given him most of his winning points. Sorry, mate.
Threaded it. Great shot.
Well, you know you played a really good shot when you can smack it by a Rafter who covers the net so well.
Didn't miss by much. And trying to become the first player in the final to hold serve.
Clément will be held up for once on his serve.
Well, there's a good example of how he has used the serve through the week.
Yes, that's twice 2 good serves to that left court. Getting the first serve in, giving himself margin across the net because he's looking for the kicker.
Oh. Well played.
Well, high tension and so satisfying for the crowd to see this sort of unusual tennis. A little bit of a rat-tat. The lob volley looked on, and I think Rafter was expecting either that or one to the forehand side, trying to club it back with these 2 hands, Rafter.
So at last somebody does hold serve, and it's the home host, Arnaud Clément, a 22-year-old. He's trying to become the first Frenchman to win this title since Fabrice Santoro, who did so in 1997. And Santoro, one of the many French casualties in the first round this year. It's going to be a pretty poor tournament for the host nation, but it's turned out rather differently thanks to Clément. And there, Peter Rafter and Pat's girlfriend.
Well, you were here for that Davis Cup match in '91 when the French won the Davis Cup for the first time against the Americans. The atmosphere must have been a little like this.
Very similar, Frew, very similar indeed. And I'm sure if this really builds into a good contest, it's just going to take the roof off. And Rafter may have to wait even longer between points.
Served 7 aces against Arazi. He's been averaging that amount in the last 3 matches. Well, he who persevere wins, continuing to play his favourite serve, that high bouncer. And for once, Clément just not quite getting on top of it.
Very quick reaction again. He's got to be.
Yeah, super, going from one side to the other. Rapier-like, particularly solid forehand volley. It can wobble a bit. Well, he went straight at him. And Clément did well just to move to the right, sway to the right. A lot of left hand in that. Well, mission accomplished in more ways than one by Clément, forcing Rafter to stay back behind the second serve.
So for the third time in succession, he had great points against the Aussie serve. Got a little jammed up in that, didn't he, on the return?
Yes, this is the harder first serve right at the body, as I suggested he might well do, as opposed to the second serve. Fortunately, Rafter takes quite a long time himself, although he's just been held up a bit here. It's not quite as noticeable in the other matches that Clément's played.
And Rafter has to work very hard for it, but in the end, finally holds his serve in this title decider, but it's still a break 3-2. So our live coverage of the Lyon final continues here on British Eurosport and Eurosport International. Full house for gripping contest already, which Arnaud Clément leads by 3 games to 2. 2 service breaks to 1 in his favour against the 8th seed Pat Rafter. And Clément serving again.
Finally getting that serve to the forehand side working, just stretching Rafter. Couldn't really get any pace on his return.
What a play. Very clever indeed. Rafter reacted as quickly as he could, but the third time was too much.
Uncanny talent here by Clément, really getting this pretty deep, the little half volley. And to go for this cheeky shot, really on top of his game. Of course, it's confidence built up as a result of a terrific spell in the United States this year, where he got to the semi of Cincinnati and Long Island, quarterfinal of the US Open.
And he wins another game. So some fearless hitting and tactics from him. He's beaten the likes of Nicolas Lepenti, Juan Carlos Ferrero and Yevgeny Kafelnikov prior to this event, where he's also beaten not only but Franco Dinari. That was in the first round. So he certainly knows he can mix it with the best. And Rafter's got a lot to do.
Rafter not the only Aussie on view here in Lyon this afternoon. Sand and Stolly through to the final of the doubles with Paul Harhouse. They play Ljubicic and Waite, who actually won through the qualifying competition, are in the final.
I'll tell you somebody through who ought to be watching this, perhaps, is Gustavo Curtin, because a couple of days ago you and I did that match, the quarter-final Rafter against Curtin, and he was constantly trying to take the big looping swings on the returns, but if you block it like Clément does...
Helps if you've got two hands on the racket.
Yeah.
I don't think Curtin's about to change. It's a good point, because I think if, in order for Curtin to win these faster indoor type conditions, I think he has to develop shorter shots. Looking at the difficulty with which Clément had playing that shot, with the swing really operating nicely for Rafter, it may be an idea to use it a bit more, even on this right court. Well, we can see here he's getting no swing at all. He's actually looking to play that into Clément's body rather than going short up the block.
Another rapier thrust, and a great winner from him. Rafter being rocked back on his heels here, Frew.
Oh, this is a terrific second serve, not necessarily in terms of direction, but it's 161 kilometers an hour, it's deep, and Clément just flicks it back. Well, that's more the one I was talking about. Clément really has to cover a lot of distance.
Pegs him back to one, but still a 4-3 lead for Arnaud Clément in this opening set. By far his best performance in Lyon to date. Arnaud Clément in his first final here. Never passed the second round in 4 previous visits. But he is making Pat Rafter play catch-up here at the moment. Some very good returns. Not bad serving now. Well, he's going to keep charging, isn't he, when he can. But it's going to take a lot out of him if he keeps having to get back for shots like that.
Well, Well, I'm sure you could see not only did it hit the net, but it was actually going out too. He was just standing off that a bit.
Merci.
Well, just as Rafter persists, so does Clément with this two-fister down the line. That was a terrific shot because the Rafter chip landed right on the baseline.
Well, a costly double fault, maybe that. Great chance here now for Rafter to level this match. And that he does. So using his greater experience, bringing it to bear. He's weathered an early storm here. Now, who's going to go on and take this first? Big question.
Well, clever play again by Rafter, doing what he so often does, did so well against Agassi at Wimbledon. But Clément worried about his serve. That was a poorish service game by him, and you can see he's going through the serving motions. Well, all first serves in by Rafter, almost accentuating the poverty of first serves of Clément. Just clipped the top of the net.
Rafter's best service game so far, and he edges in front now. 5-4 lead to the Australian in the first set. Plenty of support in Lyon for the home favourite, Arnaud Clément, and he certainly needs it now. He led 4-2 in this first set against Pat Rafter, but he's lost the last 3 games, and so is serving to stay in the first set. 4-5 down. Well, suddenly looking more aggressive on the serve. It helps, of course, if he gets it in. But I don't think this is a bad tactic. Because Rafter off the ground,
is good, but he's not outstanding necessarily. He too likes a bit of time for his shots.
Well, he's hit most of those so far, right down that line. It's a great shot to watch.
Yes, the Clément alley here. Both men the third ranking players in their country. Clément here behind Millns and Grosjean. Rafter, of course, behind Hewitt and Philippoussis.
All square again. This time it's Clément who climbs back on level terms at 5-all now. And trying to go one better than he did in Marseille last year, where he faced Fabrice Santoro in his first final. And despite taking the first set, they lost in 3. So hoping for better fortune today. He's going to have work to work hard though. Rafter into this match now after a slower start.
I think just as well he lost in Marseille, because Clément's always said that when he wins Marseille, he wants to retire. That's his dream.
21 retired, yeah, pretty good.
He's from Aix, so Marseille is the closest tournament to him, to home. Well, he'd suddenly won 9 of 10 points on his serve, Rafter. I think how he struggled early on. There's Christian Beam, the president of the French Tennis Federation, former player himself.
Over and out that one, and Rafter holds again. 6-5 up in the opening set. Welcome back. Arnaud Clément has served to stay in this set once already, so the question now, can he do it again? At Rafter, awaiting at the far end.
Good to see him really laying into those short balls.
Well, the roar's going up on every point now, and one more would put him into a tiebreak.
Almost a casual, typical 40 love point. And of course, if Rafter can win this one, he'd be a lot more eager.
Again, the heavy ball fails to push it back over the net, and after 2 service breaks each in that first set, we're into a tie-break now. And plenty for the large crowd here to enjoy, lapping it up and trying to lift their man. He's just trying, as you can see there, to really take that on board.
Rafter's tie-break record this year, 13-1, 12 lost. Clément, 13-1, 8 lost, so slightly better. Well, I think he went to play it and then decided he was going to leave it.
Clip the racket. Mini break straight away. Using the speed again to get around the court very fast, not afraid to come in, cut off the point.
I think he's really can look to do a bit more of this. He's looked quite at ease and winning those points quite comfortably, really. Really good Rafter on the ropes. Also points by Rafter, put him back into the middle of the ring.
3-0, Clément.
Oh. Well, Rafter was expecting the attempted pass, I think, covered it this time, but Clément knew what he'd probably get back.
Yes, the return just opened it up. This was a shot of daring, but so many of these players are capable of drive volleying.
Merci.
Finally gets a point in the tiebreak, but he's way behind.
He wasn't taking any prisoners with his backhand volley. Playing it as if he were 4-love up.
Well, the Unforced error there, and it's putting Clément just 2 points away from taking this first set.
Well, Hisham Arazi was 1-5 down in the tiebreaker to Thomas Enquist, a set and 1-5 down in the second set tiebreaker. Came back to win it and win the match. And lost to Rafter, of course.
So on the brink of a first set lead, and he deserves it if he gets it. He's played very well in front of his home crowd.
It's the little tongue out just before he serves that helps the concentration with Rafter.
Well, that shot has won him points throughout that first set, and it clinches it for him. Very good play by Arnaud Clément, the 22-year-old Frenchman. He's one set up over the AC.
Welcome back to the Grand Prix of Lyon. Arnaud Clément has taken the first set against Pat Rafter by 7-6. Alongside me is Mark Petchey, the former British Davis Cup player, and Clément, what a backhand, and he's like a dog with a bone, isn't he? He certainly chases everything down.
He does, but I mean, it's been his backhand throughout the whole of that first set. That's just been phenomenal. I mean, Rafter served pretty well, and he moved so well at the net, but time and time again, Clément's got him with the return. You almost think that Rafter's now just going to have to serve into the body of Clément and to the forehand. Just leave the backhand alone for this set, and just try and shake off the rhythm of Clément. And especially when he comes in, he's got to be coming in on the forehand side.
So can Bandana Man win the second set of the match? Let's rejoin our commentary team of Frew, McMillan and Barry Mills.
Keeps the bandanas that he wins in. What's that, 3 we've seen so far, so I think he'll be keeping those, whereas if he loses, then he gives them away. Well, interesting serve that by Clément, wasn't it? Just insisting on getting the first serve in. Probably not a bad idea after an action-packed tiebreaker. Concentration can waver.
And the flying Frenchman, a little too much on that.
Remind older viewers of the leaping Basque that Jean Barotra was.
Well, he wasn't going to give anything away, was he? Going for those shots.
And I was a little surprised. Rafter had the opportunity to come in earlier in the rally, but chose to take Clément on from the back of the court. And again, this shot just revealing Rafter's lack of the very highest class off the ground.
And Rafter had a second look at it, but couldn't do it. And Clément extends his lead. Good one to get under the belt. He's looking in good fettle.
Yes, that's a good way to start. As I say, after an action-packed first set and tiebreaker, it's so easy really to just go into well, a sort of coasting mode, and a good time for the opposition to take advantage. And therefore I was a little surprised that Rafter didn't look just a little more aggressive on the point before this. So important for Clément set up to be serving ahead, to hold on to that opening serve.
Neither of these men will be in the Tennis Masters Cup in Lisbon at the end of the month, but Rafter gearing up for Davis Cup duty in the final against Spain, and this kind of atmosphere will be a good test of it.
Well, that's what he wasn't doing in the tiebreaker. He forgot to stick the tongue out.
So a much better start for Rafter on his serve in this set than he made in the opening one. Broken twice in succession before he got a game on his serve.
And his first love service game of the match. He lost 21 points in his serve in that first set, Rafter. Well, very well left by Rafter. That was good judgment. We haven't seen much of him serve volleying. I think he's actually better off, generally, coming in behind the approach shot where he can hit with depth, as opposed to the serve, where obviously he's got to be halfway up the court.
Bit like that, really.
And he had to play a special volley too. Well, he'll be disappointed with that. One of his strengths is just to use that strong right arm of his to block the serve back, get him into the point at least.
It goes wide, and Clément hangs on from 15-30 down. He holds serve, and he's 2-1 up in the second set, leading by 1-0. They're on serve in the second set in Lyon. The first decided on a tie-break in Arnaud Clément's favour. And Frew, presumably for the Frenchman, showing that he can more than mix it with Rafter. The real battle for him now is a mental one.
Mental, and I think too physical. It's a pretty bruising match, this. It always is if you play tiebreaker type sets and lose as many points as both these players are on their serves. So it becomes quite physical at some stage too, and that's going to be important. He played 97 games coming into the final, as Rafter played 89. So much of a muchness, but Rafter a stronger, bigger fellow, used to playing longer matches, fight matches. There's a little bit of waiting. Rafter seems to accept it the while. Of course, what really irritates you is when you kept waiting a bit and you lose the point.
Another love game for the Aussie. And all square again. 2-2 now.
And it could be symptomatic, the 8 points in a row for Rafter on his serve, of Clément just feeling it a little bit physically at the moment. Of course, he can have a second win. He's not tired out. He shouldn't be. He should be on a high, having won that first set.
Suddenly these errors creeping in more and more. And he needs all this crowd support and more if he can come back here. In danger of a slump.
First of the match for him. How would you believe it? Suffers a breakdown, love 30 and calls in the AA, ace and an ace. Oh no, the triple A.
Triple A. Okay, what price for? Well, Rafter wasn't pleased with it. You can see why. And he gets out of jail. Arnaud Clément in front once more. 3-2 up in this second set, leading by 1-0. Live in Lyon, the final continues. And another close set building here with Rafter. 2-3 down to Clément. And that's the first point against the Rafter serve in this set.
Like a snake with that tongue of his, isn't he? They've got some pretty venomous ones in Australia.
And it was the right idea. So near, just clipped the top.
I remember it was Agassi who once had something just a little unkind but amusing to say about Sampras's tongue as it sort of lolls out, you know. He was talking about Nike and they should come up with a device to keep Sampras's tongue in his mouth. And you can imagine Sampras playing Rafter, the two of them sticking their tongues out at each other.
They come into the net so often they might end up kissing. Well, the execution isn't quite there now at the level he had at the start, because he played a similar kind of shot very early in the match and won with it.
Yes, it's always a dangerous shot to try because you can see Rafter's going that way. He's got a lot of open court. And third successive game in which he's lost the first point, Clément.
Well, the power and precision of Clément, but Rafter, what a defensive winner.
Well, possibly the shot of the match so far, that, because it was a beauty by Clément. I think he just took the racket out of the way, but what would he have done with the volley anyway? Rafter hit this so hard.
Always the way, isn't it? Much easier shot, and what does he do? Dumps it in the net. And back to 30 all now, from love 30 down. Oh. Well, it was the backhand that was winning in big points earlier in the match, but the forehand, the last couple of games.
Yes, really flattening it. Nimble on his feet, leaves room for the swing. A bit of an off break from Rafter. Just shows you can't relax your concentration, because after that big forehand, that was just a relaxed shot by Clément.
A little too much, and that could be the difference for this game. First break point of this second set.
Well, that is terrific, because I think most of us would have been looking for the two-hander down the line, and yet he just took the pace off, curled it in front of Rafter. It really is a classy shot, staying down with it.
Good to have another look at that.
And he's pretty dismissive of it, isn't he? Just chucked the other ball that he had in his pocket out, as if to say, well, there's bound to be a change of mind here by the umpire.
He wins that little battle, and he's got a game point now. It's aspiration for Rafter. Well, the crowd was willing it round the corner, but he just couldn't cope enough.
Real ding-dong, and as ever, this might just swing in this game, the match. More likely to, of course, if Rafter should win it.
Oh, brilliant. The measure of the man at his best at the net.
That is unbelievable. Totally off balance. Feeling his wrist after that shot, I'm not surprised. tough old game. No time even to celebrate. Play a couple of volleys like that. Bit of cat and mouse here, and Sylvester coming out on top.
Clément just couldn't get enough on it. But he's still hanging on here, having to work very hard to hold these service games. And releases the tension a little bit.
Little habit of his, the calves begin to itch. I've seen that in other athletes. Certainly the longest game of the match, this one.
Pounced on it very quick. Rafter can't cope in the end, and he hangs on once more. Very good play. The Frenchman in front again. 4-3 in the second set. This may be the day that Arnaud Clément becomes an ATP title holder, trying to win the second final of his career. A 3-set loss last year to Fabrice Santoro, his fellow Frenchman, in Marseille. And now the wave runs around this famous arena. And what an atmosphere. Well, if he's not lifted by that, he won't be lifted by anything, but I'm sure he is. He's played some outstanding tennis, and Rafter trying to work his way back here, but as yet, his opponent resolute in the second set, managing to hold that epic last game. Was it a vital seventh? It might well be. And just wondering if Clément is happy to play on despite the noise. The cacophony here in this cauldron of a stadium.
Drawn to 0. To 0.
And normal service resumed from Rafter as he's been in this second set. Far more emphatic with the service winners. Well, his first effort was going way out. Clément hit it back. And the second one looked like it might just get over.
Yes, he almost caught this on, then seemed to will it over, hick it over, try and do anything to get it over.
And he did his best to get past him, but there was no way that time. Rafter's so quick again.
Yes, that sight of him there doing his jinx at the net, this one here reminded me that he tried out with the Stuttgart Ballet last week when he was in Stuttgart.
You just imagine him flying through the air, Swan Lake or something.
Seemed to quite enjoy it too. Well, believe it or not, but that's the 15th point that Clément's lost in his serve in the set, and Rafter's lost 2, and yet they're equal. Clément trying to do what Andre Pavel did last week in Stuttgart, beating Agassi and Rafter in the same week.
There are times when Rafter's done that throughout this final, just a tame return, it seems. Can't get the ball back in play, either into the net or beyond the line. He's ahead again, and one more game would win him a title. Join us after the break. Arnaud Clément broke Pat Rafter's serve at the start of this match. If he breaks him now, he'll end it.
Oh, that's a terrific single-handed return by Clément. He really couldn't get up and over it with the 2 hands, just using the 1. As good a shot as he's played. Must have been quite a bit of pressure on Rafter, but you wouldn't sense it rising above it.
Oh. That's such a good shot when he gets, and invariably he has in this match.
where the two hands are really advantageous, gives you that extra bit of strength, unless, of course, you've got a Becker-like right arm or a Lou Hode-like right arm.
Just what he needed at that point. So more for Clément to do. Rafter level.
Well, surely near the sharp end of the set, Warrior Pat will be looking to come in, I imagine, should Clément miss the first serve.
That's a bad miss. Maybe the pressure starting to tell. Maybe not.
Yeah, it's a fifth in a row that he's lost the first point on his serve, but he just seems to dismiss it quite comfortably.
Just missed it.
Got the signal from somebody in the stands. He's asking the score.
Terrific pass under pressure.
Toronto.
Has so much more experience, the twice former US Open champion. This is Pat Rafter's 21st final. Only the second one for his opponent. But Rafter's record in those finals, 10 wins, 10 losses.
Well, you've got to admire Clément, because he was taking the greater risk, hitting the ball harder. Rafter was giving himself a lot of height above the net. And of course, Rafter's never won an indoor title.
And firm again, the Frenchman. Back to the chair, and another lead for him. 6-5 now in this second set, leading by 1-0 Oh no, Clément forced the first set to a tie break, went on to win it 7-2 against Rafter. Monsieur Beam there, the president of the French Federation, looking on, delightedly so, the performance of his compatriot. But now Rafter to serve to try and force a second set tie break.
I think Clément touched the net. Not allowed to do that before the point's over.
Such an acute shot from Rafter.
Oh no, he's maintaining it. Actually, it was a double bounce. Yeah. A bump ball.
Oh, brilliant. What a reply. He doesn't give up on anything.
Got to be an investigation here, because I think there's a bit of a turbo attached to him somewhere. How on earth he got to this? He's meant to be tired. And he's not a pigeon-footed athlete. Quite a few voices for Rafter, but I think so often in France they pays their money and they want to get involved. It's just a matter of having your own slanging match off court.
So 2 points for a tie break now. Standards, a very bad miss. But the tiebreak to come now. And we all know what happened in the last one.
Yes. Pretty one-sided. What Rafter now is 13-13 in tiebreakers, whereas Clément has advanced to 14-8.
Clément to serve first in this one.
Just feel if he makes enough approaches to the net that Clément's going to run out of passing shots.
Again, some volley. Timed that one very well. But Clément didn't panic. Took his time.
That's exactly right, and he's got power on either wing.
So the mini break back for Arnaud Clément, the 22-year-old Frenchman. Oh, what thing. There were gasps all around when he ran round that forehand midway through that rally. Leaving himself a little bit open, it must be said, but with hitting like that, you can win points like that.
Very courageous. And running kilometers, really, in order to play the forehand.
Clément.
3 points in a row for him. Puff of the cheeks. But he's holding his nerve so well here at the moment. Tantalising for him.
Oh la la. First of the... Now this is approaching, really, Cédric Pierlin winning in Monaco.
Well, they love their tennis in France, and they love to see some flashy play, and we've certainly had that from Clément. Some fearless stuff from him. The underdog, smaller man, but packing a punch and going for this title. He so wants it. And a brave approach by the Frenchman.
Same catch.
He's riding his luck, but making it as well.
Yes, the old chip and charge type tactic, but just relying really on Rafter's ground stroke breaking down. And not a bad theory to have.
Every inch, line to line.
And I'm sure Rafter will give Clément the utmost credit for his ability to get to the Rafter drop volleys. Just making Rafter play another shot.
Chance now for the Australian to bring up a set point. But instead, guess what? Match point.
But it somehow has a better ring than Santoro's win against Haas, and even Yannick Noah's win against Joachim Nystrom.
On the verge of victory, Arnaud Clément, 22 years old from France, trying to win his first title. He didn't hold back, and he deserves it. What a win for Arnaud Clément. The 8th seed is beaten, and the younger man, the smaller man, stands tall in Lyon. Arnaud Clément, winner in 2 tie-breaks, 7-6, 7-6, the final score. Now, the crowd loved that.